Are you a CrossFit coach or maybe a box owner looking to learn more about nutrition? You want to help support the athletes that come to your box. Maybe you have some one-on-one clients. And we all know nutrition is the foundation. We all talk about the theoretical hierarchy of the development of a athlete. And nutrition is at the base. It's like building a house. You can't build the attic first. You can't worry about performance in sport without working on the foundation. And that's what nutrition is. So maybe you're a coach, maybe you're a box owner, maybe you're just an athlete looking to potentially earn a little more income, develop a new income stream as a nutrition coach. Well, you could check out the Own Your Eating certificate course. We review fundamental nutrition principles as well as teaching you how to implement flexible eating, that's macro counting, and assist others with their tracking of macros. The cool thing about it is you're going to learn so much for yourself. Even if you didn't want to coach anyone else, but you simply wanted to learn more about tracking macros, you will get so much out of this course. It'll be the last thing you ever have to read, study, purchase because you're going to get so much information, as well as sharing nutrition experience with you. Own Your Eating will also teach you how to coach others so that you can really make a difference with the people in your community and your lives. Maybe you need to finally get your mom to track macros. Maybe it's your best friend. Maybe you put on the quarantine 15 and you're looking to just lose a few lbs, a few pounds yourself. This will teach you all of that. And the cool thing about macros, the cool thing about the way in which we at Own Your Eating teach you is it's really sustainable. The business setup and marketing strategies are also included. So if you do really want to make this a side deal or a side hustle, you'll have all the tools you'll ever need to do. And in addition to that, if you're a level 3 CrossFit coach, you can earn CEUs to help you revalidate. And we also give CEUs for NASM as well as AFA. So you can check that out. For me, every few years, I need to re up my L4, no big deal, L4 coach, but this will help you do it. So if you're interested in learning more about the Own Your Eating certificate course, you can go to courses.ownyoureating.com. Or if you just go to ownyoureating.com, right up in the header there, it says Become a Coach. You can click on that. And with the code BEST HOUR, that's BESTHOUR, BEST HOUR, you'll get 15% off. Go check it out now. I was the one, along with Roz, who helped put this all together. So I really understand that if you have questions for me about it, of course you can reach out. But I really believe in it. I've put hundreds of people through this course. It's the way I learned how to track macros. It's the way I've been tracking macros for over 5 years. And I think you will absolutely love it. So go check it out again, courses.ownyoureating.com, and use that code BESTHOUR for 15% off.
All right, Jay, today we're talking about Chapter 9, Keep the Customer Happy. Seems like it'd be something that's very simple to do, but it's actually a little more complex and something that maybe all box owners and business owners can. We get really invested in what we think is right versus what the customer maybe actually wants. And in this chapter, you talked about a story where you were very adamant about the gym doing a 5K.
Mm-hmm.
And the wheels kind of fell off. It was a beautiful day. You thought people would come and no one came for class essentially the entire day. Can you talk a little bit more about that experience and how it changed things going forward for you?
Well, first of all, keeping the customer happy or keep the customer satisfied is, an age-old adage. And obviously, if you're in a small business or in any business, you want to keep your members or customers happy. You want them coming back. Now,
And you
with
care
that
about
being,
them. You care
yeah,
about them.
you genuinely want them to be happy. I mean, the book is best hour of their day. You don't encourage the best hour of someone's day if they're not happy, right? Like, there's very few places you show up, you're like, I hate this place, but it's the best hour of my day.
Yeah.
But what I would throw in there is you can't make everybody happy, and you shouldn't try to make everybody happy. You need to, make yourself happy first and do what you believe is right. And in this scenario, yes, I was trying to do what I thought was right. If you go back on CrossFit.com, the most commonly programmed workout over the years is that 5K run, and it's because of the metabolic pathways and what it lends itself to, right? All of these great adaptations you're getting from it. Now, bear in mind, I hate it. I avoid it as well. So, but that doesn't mean my members shouldn't do it. And I remember this day very, some of the memories in the book come back to me like with so vivid, like I was still there. And some, things that you bring up, like I've talked about, it's kind of like there's a, like your brain is like a storage cabinet, and you're making me pull out these folders that are dusty. But when I open them, I'm like, oh yeah, that memory is in there somewhere. So if you've ever lived in upstate New York or the capital region, man, those first sunny spring days are amazing. You've been through the gloom of winter. It's gray, it's dark for like what feels like 9 months, and you got the Beatles, Here Comes the Sun, kind of playing in the background. It's just a beautiful day, and I was like, wow, it's going to be beautiful. We're programming in advance. Let's do a 5K tomorrow. I thought everybody would love it, and no one showed up. That's how it all began.
So like what went through your mind initially when no one showed up? Or were you thinking, oh, maybe there was like an accident in town, traffic's locked down, or the website's not working, no one can schedule? Like what did you think? When did you
You know,
catch on that it was the 5K?
I don't think I remembered, or I don't remember thinking of that like right away. This is weird. The 3:30 class in the afternoon, it was very rare at this point for any class to have zero participants, zero members showing up. But it wasn't like a complete shock. It's like, okay, and sometimes that would happen. I'd be like, cool, let's work out or let's get some work done up at the office. So I probably went back upstairs, after waiting around, and then, okay, I'll go back down at 4:30. You're like, wait
In
a
the
second.
old nook, the old coach's nook.
I think this is when we had the office up in the nursery up there.
Yeah.
So yeah. Is that table still there?
Yeah, yeah, it is.
I
Oh
love
no,
that.
wait. Do you mean the office table?
Yes.
The big kitchen table thing? No, that's gone.
Oh, that was a great table. Kevin Houston found that.
Yeah, I think
So,
you took it. I think you took it when you left.
no, I definitely didn't take that wooden picnic table. I didn't have room for it. I was moving to. No, I don't. I don't have that table.
Oh.
But anyway, so you go upstairs. I come
As the
back
camera
down.
pans over while you're walking through your apartment, I'm like, wait a minute, you do have that table.
I love that table. What you guys have to envision is like a really upscale like picnic table is how I would put it. With chairs on it, but like a nice wooden table. It had some like slate tile in it, but you couldn't write on it because the wood was grainy and it would like go through the paper when you tried to just use it and write on it. So great for computer work and sitting around, not great for actually writing with a pen and paper. But anyway, so the second class comes around, the third class comes around, and you're like, something's going on. And it was probably around the second or third class where I was like, F these people. Like, that's how I used to get. Like, they don't think, like, they think they know what's right. Who are these people? Like, I know what's right. And it was
And
probably a discussion
man,
between, what's that? It
oh no,
was
yeah, just keep going.
it was probably a discussion between Caleb or Kevin or you even, where we're like, let's do it again tomorrow. And that's what we did.
And it wasn't uncommon for us to do movements, couple days in a row. We had plenty of workouts where burpees might come up 2 days in a row, or a certain barbell movement, or a different gymnastics movement. But this one in particular struck a chord with the membership. And for a second day in a row, people didn't come into class. And then you got the emails starting to come in.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, I used to, and I still say about CrossFit, it's like, hey, sometimes variance is doing the same thing 2 days in a row. Like, we lose sight of that. We think variance has to be, everything is so different from workout to workout. And it's like, I remember hearing, I believe it was Pat Sherwood, the story is, hey, Michael Phelps, probably known as the world's best swimmer of all time, shows up to swim practice on Monday, and somewhere on the whiteboard, the coach writes down, hey, we're swimming today, whatever that is. Then he shows back up on Tuesday, and he notices on the same whiteboard, it says swimming again. And he's like, coach, we swam yesterday. What's the deal? So that, there are definitely days where Yeah, do burpees 2 days in a row, maybe even snatch 2 days in a row. I mean, the CrossFit Open comes around, people hit the same workout 4 days in a row sometimes. So it's not unheard of. It's a little rare at the box level to see a 5K come up back to back days like that. So I think it was pretty apparent to the members what I was doing. But yeah, the second day comes around, the emails start flooding in. Let me throw in one other time we did this. Tell me if you remember. There was a period of time where we we listed the scaling options on the board. So I forget the names we used. I believe it was like Bulldog, Infidel, and I
Mutant.
forget what's that?
Well, I think one was mutant.
Mutant. Yeah, right. So it went from like, we tried to make it so none of them sounded like, scaled. None of them sounded like you're not good. But what it would be is, and then this workout in particular is like, say the workout was Isabel, 30 snatches, 135, 95. We listed, all right, we might have had Mutant actually go heavier. Maybe the RX level was, 135, 95, and then your scaling options were 95, 65, or 65, 45. And we did this for a short period of time. We programmed Isabel, and some of the members lost their minds again because they're like, well, I can move 80, but you're telling me I have to use 75. Like that's a big deal. It's like if you're scaling to 75, who cares, right? Just go a little bit faster. But at the same time, I will say, like on my end, like who cares? Let the people use 80 pounds if it makes them happy. But similar scenario, we did that workout on a Monday. I remember. You know who really lost their mind? Do Donna and Katie still go there?
Donna still comes in. Yeah.
Donna, and her daughter Katie, and she brought in a couple other. But I remember they were so mad at me about this, and then we did the same exact workout the very next Monday with the same scaling options, and I was like, "Hey, go to a higher scaling option then." And again, I don't think this is right or wrong. I think there's some advantages to doing that, but again, the point is, if your customers are not happy, like this 5K, you're going to hear about it. So they start bitching and moaning, and like we've talked about in past chapters, I'm like, hey, go somewhere else. That's the beauty of the United States of America, right? You can go join another gym down the road, and that's what they did.
So that, many of them did that, and it wasn't until you sat down with Laura that, and I'm assuming is this Laura Garrison?
Yes, it was Laura Garrison.
All right, you took Laura out for some coffee, and she explained to you, "Hey, sometimes you just have to make us happy." You know,
Yeah, and I chose Laura for a very specific reason at the time. I haven't talked to her in a little while, but she's someone I would still consider a friend. She's probably mid 60s at this point. I don't want to.
she still comes in.
Yeah, and I mean, her. I had known her for quite some time before CrossFit as well, and I trusted her, and always knew she would shoot it straight with me. And prior to CrossFit, Laura and her husband Ed, who has passed away, we used to play handball together at the core club, and I have some great memories with them, as well as some of the other, older gentlemen that I would play handball with, which is a phenomenal sport, by the way. So I take Laura out. I take Laura out to probably the Starbucks on Wolf Road, and yeah, she's just shoots it straight, like, "Hey Jay, we get it. Like better, but make us happy. Like we don't want to run a 5K, and who the hell cares that we don't want to run a 5K?" It's kind of like in the same conversation, it was I'm not, we don't want to leave you. We love this thing called CrossFit. Maybe at the time there was a couple others in the capital region. We don't want to go there. We've been coming here for 5 years now, but you got to be a little more, nice and friendly to us.
I wonder how many meetings you've had at that Starbucks over the years. It's probably a lot of them.
Way too many, but and that's something I would tell a lot of the business owners and box owners to do. Like oftentimes we only think about all the people we're losing, and I got to figure out why they're leaving, and I got to talk to them. I would say, hey, and I don't want to give a spoiler alert. Maybe this is something we'll do for the challenge, but take out your best members. I forget the expression. I think it's like your pumpkin patch or your best members, and take them out for coffee or Chipotle or whatever you fancy, and figure out why they stay. It's important to find out why people leave, but also equally important, if not more important, is find out what you're doing right. There's so many things you do right in this world, and there's that expression of consciously competent and then unconsciously competent, meaning, hey, I don't know the things that I do right, but it's important that you do, because you want to make sure you keep, hey, you want to eliminate the things you're doing wrong, like programming 5Ks on back-to-back days, but you also want to do the things that you do well. And that's important. You hear those from your best members.
Now, would you also do the opposite and take out maybe some of the quote unquote bad members? And is there such a thing? If everyone's a customer and they're all there to see you and they're all paying you, is there such a thing as a bad member? Maybe you could think of some things that would make someone such a person. And then would you take those people out?
Oh yeah, there's bad members. Don't get it wrong. There's definitely bad members. I think you probably have a handful at the gym that you can think of off the top of your head that pay the bills every month, right? Their membership goes through on time, but they complain. They plant these seeds of doubt among, hey, why are we following this programming? Or I don't like this coach, or why don't we have this time on the schedule? Right? So just because someone pays, 150 a month on time doesn't mean they're a good member. And you have to probably put your thoughts and ego aside and say, hey, let me take you out and let's talk about what we're not getting along about, because they can be a bad member but a good person, right? That doesn't mean they're
Yeah.
they're a terrible person. And sometimes they just want to have their voice heard. Yeah, I would say, as a box owner, if I were to own a box again, I would probably, not probably, I would definitely put in my calendar 1 day a week, and I would block off an hour, and every week I would take a different member out to Starbucks.
So hit the good and the bad and
Yeah,
the in
and
between.
I would find that balance. And I would ask my coaches, hey James, who do you recommend I taking out this week? Or reach out to the morning mayhem class that you don't see very often and take out, Maggie, or Bill, or whoever's in that class that you don't get to see very often. And your members feel special. You learn a lot. You get some new insight. You take out the morning class. And you're like, by the way, Brett shows up 5 minutes late every day. Well, I didn't know that. Well, yeah, because you didn't ask us. Those types of things come up.
And that's important information to learn because eventually one of those people might leave because of it.
Yeah, but you got to stay ahead of it.
Now, to go back to your issue with the 5K here, before Laura set you straight and opened your eyes onto sometimes you just got to keep us happy. You made a reference in the book on page 79 where you're very upset, you're very heated. These people are dumb. They don't understand the importance of what we're doing, the oxidative system, all that stuff. And it's probably not that they're dumb. It's just as a coach at the time, you hadn't shown them the value. And I know after this particular incident, we've done 5Ks, we've done 10Ks. And sure, there's always going to be grumblings. But when we do Fran or we do just a heavy day, there's grumblings on that too. And people still show up. So we've never had a complete washout on the schedule since then. Can you speak more on maybe it would have gone better had you shown leading up to that workout the value of what you're doing and maybe hyped it up a little bit more?
Yeah, I think, it would have been hard to do on the day of, because I probably would have tried to do that at the whiteboard brief, but no one would have been there to hear it. But I probably could have done things like, hey, on the WOD page on the website, here's why this is important. Maybe I could have also done some scaling options, like maybe you don't want to run a 5K, but let's get you out there for a mile and a half. Let's get you out there for a mile. You could do a 5K row. I mean, obviously the goal is to hit the intended stimulus, which was a 5K run, but I could have put some things out there. I probably could have found some great posts or videos of some games athletes at the time talking about a 5K or doing one, or, if there was, maybe I could have taken the workout from 2009 games where they ran in the mountains and talked about why it's important. So yeah, it's, in retrospect, the members were dumb. I was not educating them.
Yeah. So you care about it, you're passionate about it, but they don't know. They don't have any skin in the game. They don't know why it's going to make them better. Would
Yeah,
you
and then
continue?
after the fact, rather than putting that 5K up on day two, that could have been what, we've talked about. I would put videos up, or one of those live streams. Hey guys, I was really disappointed today that no one showed up. Here's why I did this. We're not going to do it again tomorrow, but next time it comes up in a month or 2 months, I'd love to see more of you show up.
Yeah. And since then we had done 10Ks, 15Ks, and the common comment that we would get on those is, well, I could just do this at home. And my response would typically be, and other coaches like yourselves, like, yeah, but will you? It's totally different when you're in the group and you get warmed up. And we would at the time emphasize, like, hey, we're going to teach you running technique. We're going to teach you form so you're safer and more efficient out there, and maybe set a new PR time. And where I'm going with this is, there's going to be some people that are going to want to do it, and then there's always going to be those people who don't want to push themselves that far outside of their comfort zone. So how do you have a balance where there are going to be people in your gym that will show up and do that workout, and they're fine, they're happy with it, and they want to push themselves, versus those people that are just always going to be angry about it? So should you just never program this?
No, you have to program the workouts that you think are actually going to chase fitness. I mean, that's why we have a CrossFit. That's why you're a coach. So just because people don't like it, I mean, you nailed it. There's plenty of CrossFit workouts you can do at home, but will you? Probably not. And even if you do manage to do them, you're almost guaranteed not to push as hard. I mean, 5K run, for example, that last 400-meter stretch, when you see someone 20 feet ahead of you, you're going to chase after them. Or maybe you're the one in the lead and you hear those footsteps coming, you're going to pick it up. And for me, that's why I go to a box to this day, because I very rarely have the motivation to get started and to push myself outside of that comfort zone. So no, as a box owner and coach, you have to do that. That's what we're doing for the community, but we just have to educate a little bit better. We just have to explain to them why. And I think part of this goes back to maybe we've educated too much. I mean, in the CrossFit world, we've really promoted the buy-in is because these are short, fast workouts that hurt, and I'm done and I'm fitter. I don't have to do these hour-long sessions anymore. I don't have to do cardio anymore. But now you're telling me I have to do cardio again? What gives?
Yeah. So it's like, first you're telling me one thing, and now you're telling me, it's like, then they start to maybe lose some of that trust.
Yeah, and I think really it comes down to you have to make it a little more fun. Maybe the 5K turns into a partner 5K. Maybe it turns into an interval 5K. Maybe you know, you need to be out there on a bike. We used to do that when people did start showing up. We'd be on our bicycles, or we'd be out there just cheering people on at different stations. You can't use a 5K as an excuse to not coach today either.
Yeah, I think you're doing it wrong if they come in, you do a quick little warm up, and then you send them out, but you don't take any time to go over running form. I would let people know in advance, like, hey, this workout, this is probably going to be longer than the hour as well. Like, this is going to be possibly longer than the hour, especially if we're doing a 10K or
Well,
15K.
10K for sure. I think, if I were to timeline out a 5K run at, 5 minutes at the beginning for your whiteboard brief, a few specific drills, I'd probably have them do some 100 meters or 200-meter warm-up laps, and, try to start the 5K by about 25 to 30 into class. So that way you have time to maybe stretch out or roll their calves at the end. But yeah, you're right. It still might be tight if you want to really run it well, but
Yeah,
definitely a
and there's
10K
going to
is
be
going
some
over.
people who, they're like, hey, I want to do the whole thing, and this is going to be, a 35-minute, 40-minute trek for them. Even if you tell them, hey, you should scale this, when they're out in the world, unless you're going to go out there in your car and say, hey, get in, they're probably going to maybe want to push it.
Yeah, I mean, I think a 5K is a really great day to do that, to have almost everyone, click that RX button, because they're probably not going to destroy themselves. Those that are struggling to finish the 5K are probably walking a little bit. So it's not as if they're really, they're not going to get rhabdo from running a 5K
Yeah,
most likely. But, what I would also do is have, for example, at Albany CrossFit, the 5K was, basically leave the box, and we had a very specific turnaround, about a mile and a half out there. And maybe along the way, so at Albany CrossFit, you can stop at that first turn and know that it's a mile. You can go to the second turn and know that it's a 2-mile run. So you have these options of where they can turn around and maybe, and this is where it comes back to, like you asked, like, what could you have done? Hey guys, when you get to this specific stop, you need to be at 10 minutes or less. If you're not, I want you to turn around. You can have all of these different things going on. And of course, if you're on a bike, seeing people, seeing how they're doing, you're encouraging them to still push themselves hard, but not necessarily do the entire 5K.
Yeah, and we would give, and we still do, we'll give people stopwatches. So our gym has plenty of those. So we're like, hey, this is your equipment for the day if you want to take one. Most people these days, though, have the watches, the Apple watches and stuff like that. So they just do it all on their own. Uh, I'll drive my Jeep out. I'll be like, hey, I'm going to be at the Stewart's, and I got your water bottle. So when you go past me, you get a drink of water, and then I'll meet you at the next one. So it's like you got to be out there with them. It's not just an excuse to stay in the gym and be on your phone.
And in retrospect, hey, maybe that was my mistake. Maybe in the past we had done 5K days and not coached enough, so people realized, this is just a day they want to, chill out. They don't want to work hard, and it is a great, if you want to coach less, a 5K back in the day was the way to do it. But now there's no excuse. No matter what you have on that whiteboard, you need to be coaching.
Definitely. You need to set them up for success. And then after that, celebrate the heck out of the accomplishment. We've had so many people, when we program a 10K and people come in, they're like, I'm here. I don't know what I'm walking into. And I'm like, all right, well, maybe you do a 5K today. Maybe you test your mile time. And then if you're feeling good, we rest a little bit, we do another mile because we have those alternate routes. And
Yeah,
when everyone comes in, those are PRs. You celebrate them, you post about them on the website the same way you would a big lift.
yeah, we never know what, someone's going through or what they've done. Like, them showing up for the 5K that day or a 10K could be the biggest physical challenge they've ever had in their entire lives.
Yeah.
Or since high school, or since they've stopped competing in their, college sport. So that can be really a big motivating factor for them. It could be a really big step for them. So we have to acknowledge that. And
And
then one
that's
other,
a great thing about the bigger distances too. Like when we did the 15K, if we program a 5K, the person who's never done a 5K before or is afraid to do one and they don't feel like they're ready, they may scale that down to on a rower or just do like 2 miles or something. But when we did the 10K, those same people, now they're running the 5K that they would have scaled before. And they've never
yeah.
done it. They've never done it before in their lives. And you need to, like you just said, you need to hone in on those lifetime achievements and why
And
it's so great to come in on a day like today.
two ways that I would really promote that would be, one, I would probably be at the finish line, and I'd probably have my, iPhone or camera at the time out, getting everyone crossing that finish line, because they seeing you is going to make them pick up that pace, right? Sprint it through. And then as soon as they cross that finish line and I got them on video, I'd be like, cool, get back out there and go bring somebody else home. And I think, you're taking this terrible workout and turning it into a community builder. You've got a clip that you can, edit it down so you just see everyone crossing the line for the final time. And you've really done something special. Now, next time you program a 5K, you've built this kind of fun aura around it, and people want to be there.
Yeah, it should be a party, just like anything else. Bench press day is a party. 5K day can also be a party, a
And
big
and
event at the gym.
and those are the days where I remember your members just stick around. They
Yeah.
just hang out. They like won't leave that day. Maybe they want to, you know, goof around with the next class and tell them how bad the 5K is, or maybe they're excited to, help cheer them on, but they realize how important it is as well. And I think those types of workouts lend themselves to people just hanging at the box, stretching a little bit, because you can be like, hey, grab a foam roller, give them a stretching and foam rolling protocol so their legs aren't completely devastated tomorrow, and really use it as an opportunity to build up the community.
Yeah, and it's a great opportunity as well to show them how much you care. Like when you're out there on your bike with them, or in my case, I would just drive Jeep out. So it's like I would tell people at the whiteboard, "Hey, all right, I'll meet you at these checkpoints," and they don't believe you at first, especially the ones who haven't done it before. Then all of a sudden, you manifest there at the stop sign. You have their water bottle, the whole thing, and then you just keep popping up along the way to offer words of encouragement and to check in with people. Hey, how are you doing? Like, how was that last leg up the hill? And then maybe give them some advice. Well, hey, when I was driving by, I saw you kind of slouching a little bit. They can still get coaching all through the course on a 5K like that.
Yeah, and if you're not doing it, you're not coaching well enough.
Yeah. And I suppose the last thing you could do if you had a group of unsure people, you could maybe set your fire breathers out on the course on their own and be like, all right, guys, you guys are with me, and then jog it with them. I think if you're going to be at the gym anyways, not doing anything, this would be the one time where I see where it might be acceptable to almost quote unquote work out with your class, or just be that pace setter. Like, hey, I'm going to jog right behind you, or I'm going to jog with you guys, and I'm going to set the pace. And now you're
I,
with the coach the whole time.
I agree with that. I think this is a great opportunity, especially I'm not a fast enough runner to be able to like go up to the front, come to the back, go up to the front again. But if
Yeah.
you are that runner, do that. And if you're not, yeah, like go along with the slowest group at the back, even if it means you're walking a little bit, but keep them encouraged. And then, to throw on to that, you talk about just how you can run this class effectively. Maybe you set out those slow people 10, 15 minutes in advance, and then you unleash your fire breathers and you're like, go get them.
Yeah.
Right. So
That'd be
now
another good way.
now they have a goal to attain by catching up. And those people in the front are like, you could tell them, like, you got some zombies coming after you. You got to stay ahead of the zombies, or whatever you want to refer to it as. Make it fun. Don't make them feel bad if they do get caught, but let them know, like, your only goal, you got a 15-minute advantage on these killer zombies. Don't let them catch you, and don't be the all you got to do is be faster than one person.
Yeah. No, I think that's a great way. You can say that in advance. I think to recap, you need to give people a little bit advance warning on, hey, this is coming up. This is why we're doing it. Ultimately, you can get a little sciencey if you want, just whatever you do there, but then also show that it's going to be more than just them going out on the road by themselves. Because yes, they could do that on their own. They probably won't, but yeah, they could do that on their own. But if you're going to be there with them, if you're going to be waiting at checkpoints with them, if you're going to do the zombie thing, if you're going to teach running technique, tell them all that in advance and show that it's going to be way more than what they expect. And film as much of it as you can. That way you have a documented proof. So each time that workout's coming up, you're like, hey guys, remember this? Oh yeah, I remember that fun day.
If all else fails, windows open, blast Eye of the Tiger as you're
Yeah.
driving past the members, and it'll at least give them a good chuckle, a little bit of a laugh. So yeah, like anything, I mean, really this lesson comes back to, do things for the right reasons, try to empathize with people, try not to get in your own way, thinking you know best all the time, and ultimately just listen to your members, or whatever the struggle is. I mean, we've had the same struggle in life, right? Be it with your wife, a friend, your boss, where you're just not seeing eye to eye. Rarely is the best option to just go, attack, like a bulldog, head down, and thinking what you're doing is right. Typically the best option is, hey, let's just talk about it. What's going on? How can we make this better?
Well, and you make a great point. I imagine most box owners and some coaches are operating most of the time with their head down. They're in the weeds, they're grinding, they're just trying to get it done. Many might be trying just to survive day to day. Either they're working another full-time job and this is part-time, or they're all in on the business, but they're not taking that time to do things that we've discussed in other chapter, like put themselves first, setting rules. And now here they are getting maybe too defensive and too combative when a member has an issue.
Yeah, it's hard. Like we've talked about so many times, we take this very, very personally, and it's hard not to. But yeah, I think the best bet is just to really just try to listen to everybody. I don't know how to express it any better than that. It's just listen and understand.
Yeah. And that's part of the homework for this week or for this chapter, is to take your members out.
Well, yeah, if you're a box owner, my homework to you is take one member out. You don't have to commit to weekly, like I said. Take one member out and just talk to them. If you're If you're a coach, you can do the same. And if you're just someone that stumbled upon this book and you probably know of CrossFit, I would say, why don't you try to just meet a friend, meet a family member, meet someone, bonus points if it's someone you're not getting along with or in a battle with, but just listen and talk. Try to put your phone down for 30 minutes and just talk and find out about them. And I think it'll help give you insight into who that person is and probably change your relationship going forward.
Yeah, could be a coworker. Maybe it's your boss. You flip the tables a little bit.
Yeah, flip the script, topsy-turvy that, and take your boss out. Whatever it takes, 30 minutes, an hour, grab a coffee. You're gonna get one anyway at 2 o'clock, and just have a conversation.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you, Jay. I think that's any closing thoughts on chapter 9 here?
No, no,
Keep the customer happy.
nothing we haven't talked about already. It's just, at the end of the day, you got to make your members happy and just do what's right by them. And you know, I highly recommend people still programming a 5K, just not on back-to-back days.
Yeah, that's good advice.
Thanks for listening to Best Hour of Their Day. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. First of all, it's free. How cool is that? There's a creation tool that allows you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer, so it becomes super simple. Some of these episodes with Fern or Todd or myself chatting with one another, we've done right within the app itself. Anchor will make it easy to distribute your podcast to all platforms, Spotify, Apple, and many more. And you can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make an awesome podcast in one place. All you have to do is download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today. Thanks again for listening to that special episode of Best Hour of Their Day. If you enjoyed, go ahead and download the book. You can check out the audio book. You can check out the paperback or even the ebook. We place the link right in the show description. So once again, thanks for listening. Have a great rest of your day.